Whoa, let me get that out of the way. Hey, folks, Pat Beliveau here. It is Sunday, the 28th of June, 2020. This particular video, just want to make mention of something that I touched off on briefly. It would have been about a week or 10 days ago, well, probably a week. It was a topic suggestion video from Dennis in Toronto. And he was asking about dealing with a record company more specifically, but I mentioned SOCAN at that point. And I want to, for those of you that are writing your own music and for music that's being broadcast, if you're just getting into this, those of you that have been doing it for a while will know probably about this stuff. But I remember when I started writing and I wanted to, I was recording, here and there and recording my own stuff. I needed to get educated on this stuff. So today I want to just quickly concentrate on two organizations. One being SOCAN, the Society for Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers of Canada. And also MROC, which is the Musician Rights Association of Canada. No, Musicians' Rights Organization of Canada. Oh, stands for organization, not association. Hello. Anyway, yes. Okay, so SOCAN and MROC. Okay, so let's go SOCAN first. SOCAN is Canada's version of what would be in the States as being ASCAP or BMI. And those SOCAN, ASCAP, BMI are organizations that collect royalties on behalf of musicians, composers, so on and so forth. So, for example, you write a song, you record a CD, it ends up getting airplay. There is a logging period where radio DJs have to log what they're playing. It's for 2 weeks, I believe. And it's not every month. I believe it's 2 weeks per quarter. Something like that. And because they can't log like every week out of every month, out of every year. So I know some DJs I've dealt with my stuff, they've actually phoned and said, I'm going to feature some of your stuff on there because it's a SOCAN logging week. So we're logging our stuff. So and here, of course, we have a Canadian content aspect to our radio. Because we are landlocked and our neighbors are the United States, that's a very, very big recording market. So it would be very easy for even our airwaves to get flooded with American artists, and the Canadian artists would get lost. So there was the CRTC here, Canadian Radio and Television Commission, came down, mandated that a certain percentage of programming here needs to be Canadian content. So one of the things that we've been asked to do, Canadian artists, and I learned this on my first CD back in 1997. If you look at a Canadian that's not on a major label, like an independent label, Canadian release, if you look on the back, you'll probably see a maple label, which not anything to do with the syrup or anything like that, but you'll see MAPL. So that's music, artist, production, and lyrics. And there's a certain criteria, I believe it's 2 out of the 4 have to be Canadian for it to be considered Canadian content. So DJs look for that too. So if you've ever turned over a CD jacket and you've seen MAPL, it's a round circle cut into 4. And in one section, there'll be M and then A and then P and L. That's music, artist, production, and lyrics. So there's a certain percentage of those. I think it's 2 or above. So 2, 3, or 4 will be considered as Canadian content. If you only have 1, it's not going to be. Doesn't mean you're not going to get airplay. But in Canada, it's a definite advantage to have at least 2 out of the 4 of those sections of the maple logo or maple label colored in. Because then you're classified as Canadian content and DJs need to program Canadian content. Okay, so you've written some stuff, you've recorded it, you're releasing it. You should have it registered with SOCAN by now. So to join SOCAN is free. SOCAN.ca, I believe. You can register your works online. They are a royalty collecting organization for when your original material is broadcast over radio or whatever medium. Could be Sirius XM, it could be radio waves, that kind of thing. So they will log. I think they're even logging for internet stations now too. So they will log for that whatever that period of time is. It's a 2-week period, I believe, once every quarter. So of course you'll get more royalty money if it's broadcast on a commercial radio station than it will on like a CBC in Canada or NPR in the States kind of thing, like the public radio. Also in Alberta, we have a station called CKUA, which also broadcasts a lot of independent artists and local artists like Alberta and Western Canada-based artists and stuff, as well as international and everything. So it's really nice to have that outlet as well, that radio station. So, yeah, like I said, registering that stuff it's free to join. Register it online. Make sure you've got it registered with them. That will open you up to any royalty money if your songs are logged within that time period where the SOCAN logging goes on. And I have it set up on mine so that it's a direct deposit. You're not going to make a crap load of money, but what's good about this is it's a passive income stream. So the more you write, the more it's recorded, the more that it might be played, and all that. The potential is there for you to make more royalty money, and not even just on your own projects. I mean, if you write for a project for a band that you're a member of or something like that, same thing applies. It's anything you write. For example, I play in a group based out of Calgary. We've done some festivals in different parts of the country. We were supposed to do that again this summer, except of course the COVID-19 thing hit, so that came to a screeching halt. But it's 3 bari saxes, bass and drums. It's called Baritone Madness. Now, we just released an album last fall, I believe it was. Everything's a blur now. But anyway, it was a collaborative effort supplying material. I wrote 2 songs on that album, and I know they've gotten airplay because I recently had a SOCAN deposit into my account. Now, it wasn't huge, but put some gas in the tank or whatever. So the more, imagine all these prolific writers or even these pop and rock writers that are that are getting played like many times a day on radio stations worldwide, not just Canada or US or North America wide, right? So I think I read it somewhere, or I don't know where I heard it exactly, but like someone who has written just a crap load of material, as an example, Sting, Gordon Sumner, Police band guy, and has been a solo artist for a while. You know who I'm talking about, of course. I had heard that he makes the equivalent of $1,500 a day just in royalties from airplay. So, but I mean, he's written so much stuff, and it's on so many radio stations across the world at any one time. It's when you think of the volume of what's going on out there, it's not a surprise that can happen, right? So I wouldn't mind making $1,500 a day. That would be okay in passive income, right? Hello. So I don't know why you wouldn't jump on that. It doesn't matter how much you're getting, at least as long as you're getting something deposited in your bank, and then you know that your stuff's being played. That's the other thing. So it's very hard to track unless you have a radio tracker tracking for you, and they're not cheap to hire to do that. I mean, at least you know that some of your material is being played somewhere at some time. So that's always a plus as well. So anyway, SOCAN.ca. Now, when you join SOCAN, they're going to ask you if you want to be, at least they did when I joined, if you want to be affiliated with either ASCAP or BMI in the States. You can choose either one. I chose BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated. ASCAP, Association. It's like Association for the Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers, or something like that. I can't remember the exact acronym, but it's a similar thing. I found just from seeing different charts that are on, or different music that's on ASCAP as opposed to BMI. ASCAP, I know you'll still get royalties from radio play and stuff like that, but I think it seemed like ASCAP was more about music publishing, selling charts, and getting royalties for that. Not exclusively or anything. With BMI being Broadcast Music Incorporated, it seemed like it was more radio broadcast oriented, so that's why I went with that. So those of you that joined SOCAN, I'm sure they probably still do. I mean, for me, it was, 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago that I joined. So, but they did ask me, and I went with BMI. So anyway, so BMI, if I get airplay in the States, BMI will collect on my behalf in the US and forward things to SOCAN. So across the world, in many countries, each country has their own organization that deals with this, right? So European countries too. I believe in Japan and Australia, New Zealand, where places where you'd think that you'd get airplay, right? Places in Asia, like I say, in Eastern Europe and so on and so forth. All of these countries have their different organizations that will do that. Okay, so if there's anything else, like I say, any follow-up stuff on that, send me a note and I'll do a second video. But I'm going to move on because I've hit the 11.5-minute mark now. So I'm going to move on to MROC. So I found out about MROC, interestingly enough, by a bassist friend, colleague of mine named John Hyde, and who was our union, American Federation of Musicians president here. I was on the board for 2 years as a board member of our local 547 here in Calgary. And I remember John Hyde mentioning this. What it is you can get royalties by simply playing on a session, being a session player that's getting airplay. So over the years, I have a discography on my website. I think I hit 55 recordings I'm on or something like that. Now, some are going to get much more airplay than others. And a lot of these ones, there's a good handful that were years ago. They're likely out of rotation and not getting anything anyway. But with MROC, they went back a number of years for me. Like I logged some, because I send information to them about what albums I was on. They went back, I'm not sure even how many years, I think to mid-90s or 2000, something like that. So it was they went back quite far and were searching for things for me. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how. I don't question it, but they do it. So MROC is located in Toronto, and they also collect for internet radio stations too. For royalties for that as well. If stuff that you're on is broadcast on internet radio. Now, what I would do, I filled out paperwork and faxed it to them. I'm sure it's more hip now. I haven't deposited anything with them, like information-wise, in quite a while. But I need to get caught up because I did not submit 55 recordings to them. I'm still behind on that. But I probably got to about 20 or 25. And the main ones I wanted were more of the, releases on major labels or ones that I figured would get more airplay. So, for example, I was on one track of an album by Jan Arden, who's a well-known singer-songwriter based here in Calgary, known across Canada, and I know in certain places in the States and Europe and stuff too. She's been with Universal Records for Canada for quite a while. She recorded an album years ago called Uncover Me, which was an album of cover songs that she grew up with that she wanted to redo. And her guitarist and co-writer, Russell Broom, contacted me. Russ and I go back in a lot of years. He's a fantastic guitarist, engineer, producer, and just an all-around good guy, and very good guy. And he called me up and said, Jan wants to do a remake of Dusty Springfield's Son of a Preacher Man. So if I send you the MP3 of the original, can you lift the horn lines, arrange them, whatever? So I need tenor, bari, trumpet, and trombone. So I said, okay, I'll do the tenor and bari parts. I'll hire you a trumpet player and I'll hire you a bone player. So I lifted the stuff off the MP3, mildly tampered with it just a little bit, added a few herbs and spices. Not much, but a little bit, and then was hired to do the session as well. So that was a buyout. Like, I get no money, no kickback from Universal, anything like that. Done. I got paid for the arrangement. I got paid to do the session. End of story. But with MROC, because that track got a lot of play on commercial radio, that and one or two others that I played on, I remember. One was an album by Jason McCoy. I mentioned this, we did a Christmas special. It was released on EMI Records Canada. So that, again, another major label. And then I did a gospel album live at a big church here in town, Center Street Church it's called. And it was a singer by the name of Jake and Mullen. It was released on Red Leaf Records was the label, I believe. It must have got a lot of play on the Christian radio because those three were the main albums. I mean, there's a smattering of other ones, right? But those three main ones gave me the most, shall we say, bang for my buck, I guess, for lack of a better term. I remember my first check that I got from MROC, totally unexpected. And it was a good time too, because it was summer, so things were a little bit slower. I reach into my mailbox, pull out this thing, wondering what it is that they want from me or whatever, or what paperwork they're sending me. And I open it up and I pull out a check for about $430 or $440, something like that. Again, for passive, like, that's one-time stuff, right? And I've had 3 checks from that. Was one. The second one was, I think, high 300s or low 400s still. And then the last one I got was more, I think it was about 225, 230. But still, that's almost $1,000 for stuff that I did once and is still being played over and over and over again. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to join these things. And again, joining MROC is free. And MROC, like I say, will also get that royalty money for you for internet radio. Now, there's also an organization in the U.S. called Sound Exchange. They do the same thing. So my American guys, if there's any American guys listening to this, if you haven't, check out Sound Exchange. It's based in Washington, D.C. I actually did a bit of overkill and I joined both, not knowing that MROC didn't do this. I didn't know that, actually. I thought I'd have to join Sound Exchange because they're the main one that does it. So I joined Sound Exchange, and then while talking to one of the guys at MROC about this, they said, well, you don't have to be a member of both. We can do it for you. And I said, okay, well, if you're already doing stuff for me in Canada, I might as well keep it all in-house. So I'll let you guys take care of any of the internet stuff. So anytime your stuff is played on internet radio as well, and you're on the session, regardless of whether it's your tune or you're just a sideman, you'll still get royalty money from it. So again, too, and this is just 2 examples, right? So, but they're important examples, and I wanted to get them out there. So I believe that one is MROC.ca as well. Musician Rights Organization of Canada, based in Toronto. So I'm really glad that I was made aware of that organization. So do yourself a favor. If you have stuff out there, or you're going to have stuff out there that's going to be recorded and given airplay, do it. Join these things. They're free. And you may end up going through your mailbox one day and you'll pull out a check you didn't even know you were going to get. So, like I said, you're not getting rich. At least I'm not. I mean, the kind of music I play is not conducive to getting rich off of. But I can imagine some of these pop and rock stars that are getting these royalty checks, or if you played on a session for a very well-known album. Imagine if you were like a Steve Porcaro that wrote a song like Human Nature from Michael Jackson's Thriller album. Hello, right? Can you imagine the royalty money that came from that, one of the greatest selling or largest selling albums of all time? Anyway. Yeah, just give me a piece of that. I'd like to know what that feels like. Even just for like a day. Anyway, you get my point, right? So why not, multiple income streams? Why not? I mean, I know for me, like I said, that first check from MROC for $430 or whatever it was, the timing on that was perfect because it was great because, like I say, summer was there and it was getting slow. So any little bit helps. And plus, like I say, you do it once, you can get paid for it over and over and over again. Seems like a no-brainer to me. Anyway, guys, like I say, if there's any other questions or comments or whatever about that, if you want any follow-up with that, any more research done, I'll do it. I got nothing but time, right? It's not like I got gigs happening, right? Considering the situation here that we're going through. So, but it's ammunition to even just bring in more money little by little. Why not? It's out there. So go after it. Okay. SOCAN.ca, MROC.ca, I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, it'd be MROC.com then. But I know it's MROC. So anyway, Musicians' Rights Organization of Canada. I'm sorry, I should have studied more on that to make sure before coming on here, but at least you're aware of it now. So just pop onto Google and do your due diligence on that one. Okay, anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I'm at 21 minutes. If you have any comments, questions, or video topic suggestions, I will, as per usual, put my email address down below. YouTube@belltones.ca. Don't be strangers if you want. No spam, please. No craziness. Well, mild craziness is okay. But over-the-top craziness, delete. Okay? Nobody's done that, and I'm so grateful that nobody's doing that. So anyway, thanks very much for your time. Have a great night, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.